Hi team, this is going to be your lesson for Monday, August, what is the date on Monday? Monday, August 26th. And I want to do a couple quick things when I talk you through this today. Just to be explicitly clear, I am teaching you how to do the math as an adult, not how I would teach the math as a kid. So today, as an adult, I'm going to start with first our aim. Our major cluster is measure and estimate lengths in standard units. This is what I have to win on within this entire unit plan. I go straight to the aim. Students will be able to iterate one unit. I already know that this is a material that I'm going to need, that one unit iteration, to then create a ruler. So different from this past week, where we use the iteration of the unit to just measure. We're actually creating a ruler from the iteration of the material or unit, and then step 1, step 2, step 3, then actually measuring a given length or distance with that ruler. And so my mastery outcome today is the ability to measure that given length or distance, but in order to be able to do that, I need to be able to create the ruler. Right down here, you should internalize this as you do. And these are your what and your how key points. What key points? Rulers help us measure in standard units. This is going to be a very new thing for our kiddos today. And we need to be ready for kids to potentially not know what a ruler is. Although many of your kids are coming from first grade where they did work with standard units of measurement, but just being able to stamp rulers help us measure in standard units. And then here is, and we've kind of flagged this throughout the last couple lessons, this is where a gap might occur and where I would identify that the biggest misconception could happen. The space on a ruler is called a unit, and therefore we count the units, not the lines. That's a big deal right there. We can iterate a single unit to create a centimeter ruler. Great, we're gonna use the centimeter cubes, and then we can measure with that ruler by counting the spaces or units covered, not the marks. I actually still think this is quite procedural and not conceptual, or not the idea of it. The idea is, like, when we use a ruler, we're measuring how much space is taken up, not little lines. Like, that's actually it. Criteria for success, my paper is folded. Create a ruler with mark and move, measure the ruler. This is all procedural. And then this is actually just not long enough to be an exemplar student response. So building in that talking time with your kids to get there. Quick flag for you, make sure you have centimeter cubes, index cards. This is what you're actually making the ruler on, so you need to email apps for index cards early and often. Great. So jumping in, I was going through this in terms of thinking through expectations, routines, and procedures. Track me, clear directions for turn and talk, the material I need in advance. But this is a game intro. No, you can come in. This is a game intro, so you need to be cognizant of, like, what is the game that you're introducing. The game is called Making a Ruler, which is not actually a game, but we're going to figure out how to make a ruler, and then we're gonna measure with the ruler. So you're modeling whole group with the game itself, and then kids are going back to their desk to iterate, make the ruler, and then measure with their given ruler. You are gonna need to be very intense about your circulation at the time where kids are going around, because if they can't iterate one copy of the unit, they won't actually be able to measure with the created ruler, and all of their answers will be wrong. So you need to first identify, can they do this? Yes. And I actually think even before they get to measuring with the ruler, iterating one copy of the unit to make a ruler, and then measuring with the created ruler. If they cannot actually measure with the ruler, then you're gonna have another misconception. So just 2 steps that you need to fill in the gaps for. Mid-workshop interruption, discussion, etc. All right, so I am going to not model for you the actual iteration of the tool, but what you would have is a note card and being able to put on it the iterated unit over and over again, where you label, mark and measure, mark and measure, mark and measure, mark and measure. And as I'm going, I'm saying, this is one space, this is one space, this is one space, this is one space. So then I can actually go and measure the paw, which, looking at, like, with my adult eyes, is probably about 4 centimeters long, and being able to write 4 centimeters long. Amanda, you did a really great job of stamping length in all of the objects that you went after this week, so continue to do that. They use the same ruler throughout the entire thing, so if you notice a gap early, please close it. Give them a new card so they can actually make a centimeter ruler that makes sense. And that is Unit 1, Lesson 4, Iterating Units to Mark and Move.